Episode 9 of the World of Darts podcast. Again, joined by Chris Welch. First of all, how are you doing, mate?
Just my usual self, as always, same old boring answer. And obviously intriguing them off topic and darts tonight. Off the darts.
Yeah, there is something intriguing away from darts, which Andre has said in the chat. This podcast is going to be interesting. Both of Mike and Chris teams facing each other. Yeah, we are, and Newport are going to win. But anyway, swiftly moving on. An interesting sort of weekend of that started, of course, in Brighton for the Premier League. There was one withdrawal with Gerwin Price withdrawing from the Premier League night in Brighton, which followed up with him withdrawing from the Euro Tour. But apart from Gezi pulling out, it was a good week of the Premier League, wasn't it? I mean, apart from a couple of things, i.e. Gary Anderson, but what did you make of the night in Brighton?
Yeah, it was decent. Apart from obviously doing Price unfortunately pulling out, and then Darryl Anderson stinting the pace out in Brighton. And but apart from that, rest of the players, they performed good way, didn't they? And yeah, even if you have the opposites, you would say, well, they didn't perform good, but I mean, Kieran, for example, managing to win that game against Peter White in terms of the average, but it's not about the averages, it's about the finishing.
Yeah. Michael Van Gerwen as well is the first player to go back-to-back in the Premier League. 2 on the spin, beat Peter Wright, well, last week, if you think about it. 2 nights ago, 6-0 in the final. He's beat Michael Smith in another final. We will come on to it even further about Michael Van Gerwen in another topic shortly, but is Michael Van Gerwen on his way back, and is this a great sign to pull out to the rest of the Premier League field?
Well, on recent form, that will show that, in my opinion, with what he'd done at the weekend as well. And I think he's back up to world number 3 now, I think. So,
yeah.
Still a lot to do, still a lot to say. If he is back, he obviously still needs to win the bid TV tournament with all due respect to these Lollipop tournaments on the Hero Tour. I know that's been disrespectful, but I don't care. It's my opinion. I don't like it if you're comparing the two. So yeah, I think he is back at the moment, but it can all change. Like with this Premier League coming up, with this week's Premier League coming up, he might stint the pace out. That's what it's like in darts these days.
Yeah, an interesting point to bring up. Obviously, Gerwin Price did withdraw, and there was a few talking points about what happened with that match between Cullen and Gerwin Price. Some people saying he didn't deserve the points. Obviously, we both agree that he does, but I just think Joe Cullen had a massive disadvantage, and everyone was saying, look, Cullen's got 2 points already now, guaranteed into the semi-finals. I just said he's going to be nowhere near the races against Van Gerwen due to a few things. Van Gerwen would have already had a game, and Joe Cullen would have probably wanted Van Gerwen to have a last a breeze into their semi-finals by beating James Wade 6-1, 6-2, so he didn't have to get out of second gear. But a last leg decider was just everything Cullen didn't want from Van Gerwen. Got him into the sort of rhythm and just annihilated Cullen 6-1 in the end.
Yeah, I expected Van Gerwen to win regardless against Joe Cullen. That's not being disrespectful to Joe Cullen, who is a good player, just Van Gerwen on his recent form. And obviously it plays a part when you don't play them either, because you get too complacent when you don't play them and get too comfortable. I'm always one who rather plays a game, get that momentum. Even if you come through with like a 80 average win, for example, it's still momentum for you. That's why sometimes James Wade always gets through. That stays as a pretty tournament, especially the Worlds as well, where even though he didn't play them, he still wants that momentum. That's 16 quarterfinals. So, I mean, it's unfortunate, but I mean, there was a lot of talk, wasn't there? Like, oh, there should be a standby player, but if there was a standby player, you know who would have been pretty picked. So,
well, we'll discuss that next week because there's potential that two players could be pulling out of this week's Premier League, but we'll get into that in a minute. I've seen quite a few things on Twitter about the Premier League night, but the one thing that I actually sort of brought up to my attention, I know it's only something little, but Joe Cullen didn't have a walk on, so I know you could probably say, well, that's just petty, he's who cares, but I think that does play a bit of a part into it. Yes, he loses 6-1 and he probably loses anyway. A walk-on's not going to give you 10, 15 points in the average, but it builds you up for a game, doesn't it? Getting walked on, and especially with the song that he's got, it's more of a crowd sort of builder-up song, isn't it, Joe Cullen? And he didn't really have that opportunity.
Exactly. It's a song for Manchester United fans as well.
It will be for Carlisle fans tonight, I think.
Well, it depends on the storyline, doesn't it? So, but yeah, I'm 50-50 on it. Yeah, for this, should he have had a walk on or not? Because I think he should have had a walk on because obviously he didn't play in the quarterfinals. But you could say at the same time with this semi-final format we don't in the Premier League where you don't have any walk-ons. Like if you have a walk-on for Joe Cullen, for example, then over 3 players be out. Hang on a minute. And then it would just go against the previous weeks where, I mean, it could all change, doesn't it, with the semi-finals format? They might decide to put walk-ons on for like second half of the season before the playoffs. So, but I'm 50-50 on it, and I'm one of them who just turned of a toss, to be honest with you. And it's all about the dartboard, what you do on the dartboard. None of this. We're after night. We're at the pretty festivals, dancing in muddy fields and all that. So, I do like walk-ons, but at the same time, it's 50-50. Yeah. I understand your point of view, but at the same time, I don't give a toss, honestly. It's not a big deal. That's what I'm saying. It's not a biggie.
Absolutely. Something that did get brought up on Twitter a lot was this statement here. So the statement actually says underneath Price, Price couldn't compete at Brighton due to a hand injury. Under the rules of the competition, his opponent was given a 6-0 win. However, Gerwin Price has not been deducted 6 legs from his leg difference. Now, one thing I saw on Twitter earlier, and I want to sort of bring this up, is someone said, well, what happens if it comes to like 2 weeks to go in the Premier League and a player is clinging on to a playoff place and they're thinking, well, if I pull out, I get a 6-0 loss against me, but I don't get that taken off my leg difference. Do you reckon we may see a few players sort of pull out, I should say, if, knowing this rule that they're not going to get 6 legs taken off their leg difference?
I think that's this on putting this format into back to chaos then, and then we'll end up flip-flopping again. Where at the start this pretty format, we're like, what the hell is this? And then 3 weeks, we love it. And then we got this shouldn't be swearing. We got this nonsense now coming on where if a player pulls out, this is actually pretty football, man. All these false positives and all that, and where everyone's doing it. So it's just a lot of background noise for me. Not background noise. Just if someone else does do it, then people will howl at the moon like a wolf about it, and then I mean, Darren Price. At least Darren Price has shown evidence of his hand injury. And I mean, we just saw his hand before this really stream, didn't we? It's like a tennis ball. Yeah, it might be used at Wimbledon coming up in the summer. And
talking about that, I will get it on the screen now. So before we get into it, there was an incident in the Euro Tour where someone pulled out, which we'll get into. But that is the hand of Gerwin Price as it stands. So he posted this
I
on
know,
his.
I know the other player you're on about.
They've
You got your
posted
little
this.
smirk on your face.
They've posted this, or he's posted this picture on his Instagram 20 hours ago, saying it's still swollen, but things are getting a little bit better. If he thinks that is getting better, I have no idea how big it was originally. So looking at that, I really don't see a world that Gerwin Price does play this week's Premier League, but I will get the Premier League up for this night. We're going to Nottingham, so up in the north. Got to get a passport to go up there. But yeah, we are going to Nottingham for
you
the
need to get a
Motorpoint.
ferry there.
Exactly. Need to get a plane. Motorpoint Arena in Nottingham. Now, looking at this, you would say, I'll tell you what, that's a nice field. But we could only have two quarterfinals if Gerwin Price and the name that I'm hinted at earlier, Peter Wright, pull out. Obviously, I'm just going to ask you the question. All 8 players are playing. They may not be, but right now, all of them are playing. Who gets to the final and who wins night 5 of the Premier League? Night 6, sorry.
Then it all does depend on the likes of Darren Price and Pete Wright can compete or not. But obviously the final I predicted was Michael Leitich, the 2 Welshman, Darren Price and John Keaton. But he might not like who I predicted to win, and that was Johnny Keaton. I put him to win this night. The best Welsh player, obviously winning on the night, in Johnny Keaton, and it's one of. But then it does depend on Darren Price if he's fit enough to make the final. If he isn't, then I think it'll be Van Darren Keaton final personally.
Van Gerwen Clayton.
Because I do think the winner out of Van Darren and Price will get to the final, and I think Johnny Keaton's daughter might have a favourable route to the final. Darry Anderson, and obviously it depends on Pete White if he can make it or not.
Actually, I was thinking of 2 possible finals that I was gonna pick, and the one was basing off Price and Gezi being involved, but even so, even if Price and Wright are involved, I think they might lose their games just because they come back from an injury. So my final is Michael Van Gerwen taking on Johnny Clayton, and just like you, I think the Ferret wins in Nottingham. He won it in Liverpool, so I think
I think Johnny Clayton's getting back to his self again. I'm not saying he was out of form. Just games weren't done his way. He was using games, and he's getting that rut, so to say, of winning games again. And then that's why I've gone for Johnny Clayton to win, as it's getting better, then getting back to his winning form.
Yeah. How good is it going all the way down to the table? How good is it to see a Premier League table with Michael Van Gerwen sat at the top? He's 4 points clear of Peter Wright and Johnny Clayton. But just look at that. 8 games won, only 3 lost. Since probably night 3 or night 4, Van Gerwen has just changed it completely around. And he said, look, I think he said in one of his interviews during the Premier League with Stuart Pike, he said, Michael, you're not in the top 5 at the moment. As it currently stands, you won't be in the Premier League next year. And he just said, I'm not going to beg like others. I'm deserving to be in here. And
bit like YouTube, ain't it?
Yeah, of a certain YouTuber who's live soon, actually.
Alvin and the Chipmunks.
But does Van Gerwen warrant saying that? I would have a go even if Gerwin Price said this. The fact that you deserve to automatically be in there. A lot can happen in 10 to 12 months. Van Gerwen could really drop off. Or do you think Van Gerwen is starting to realise I'm coming back, hence why I'm able to say that?
It's 50-50 one of them, isn't it? Like, obviously, his recent form, we'll say, yep, I automatically should that in. But it's darts has played a lot of Hero tours, a lot of Pro tours, a lot of tournaments we got over the year. It's all about what you do for the rest of the year, and it's what you do over the year, in my opinion, and over the whole year that warrants your place in the Premier League darts of the tournaments you win. Even you could say Hero tours and Pro tours are massive now. On that in the Premier League, just looked at where Joe Cullen, Johnny Caton, for example. I know even though Johnny Caton was already in it after winning the Masters, but Johnny Caton, it's always good to see if he can continue it in the Pro Tour. So, same with Joe Cullen, and I think there's some players who should be worried about their pace in the Premier League this year. Darryl Gurney, for example. Obviously, you would have said Van Gerwen until his recent form. Even though I still think Van Gerwen would have turned it around, in my opinion. And it all depends on what Joe Cullen does for the rest of the year as well. Which I think he'll be fine, in my opinion.
He was talking about Gary Anderson, about should he be worried about his place. This is a difficult time for Gary because he doesn't doesn't do the Euro tours. He's probably not going to do the Pro Tour that when it goes over to Germany in a few weeks' time, I think it is. He doesn't. He sacks off the Sunday of a Pro Tour weekend. So apart from the Premier events, the Match Play, the Grand Slam, the Grand Prix, the Worlds, the Players Champ, he might not even get to the Players Championships finals, which is crazy. Didn't do fantastically at the UK Open. Is this a worrying year for Gary, or are we just going to see him turn up at the World Championships and just get to the semi-finals because that's just what he does? Because I think once he drops out of the 32, once he drops out of the 16, I think he's going to drop out of the 32 very quickly.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree. I think he's going to kind of be like in the 18 years territory where 18 years won the back-to-back world titles, but then after that he was still reaching the outer stages of tournaments where semi-finals and finals, 18 years, and then obviously look at him now. He's fell right off the cliff. I do think Darryl Gurney, it's been coming for years for me. I do feel he's going to start dropping off.
Yeah,
even though I do have head on my face every time at the Pretty World Championship. He ends up reaching the final and the semi-finals. It will come, in my opinion, where Darryl Gurney will drop off. I think it's already coming now. He's sacking off these Sundays and he's pulling out some of these tour tournaments as well. And I did see it coming. I'm not trying to trump it off my backside and said I told it a couple of years ago. But I think it was coming for me. It is coming. I mean, Darryl Gurney needs to make his mind up because I think he's a bit of a flip off. If I'm being honest with you, he says I love to play darts. I love to play darts, but you don't. You don't because why are you pulling out these tournaments? These tour tournaments. So
I don't know why he doesn't go to.
It's like comparing apple to oranges. Which one is it?
Yeah, it's completely two different things. It's either you do or you don't. Jan says, what's your guys' opinion on the players that drop out of the top 8? I'm presuming the Prem. Yeah. And he says, do not compete anymore at the Prem, and that the players that will come into the top 8. So basically, do you reckon at the end of the year, the top 8 should be the Premier League 8 is pretty much what, with this format, I'm presuming what he means.
Well, with this format, it has to be, surely. But then you
Cullen's in it.
But then exactly, you got Joe Cullen in it, and I'm pretty sure when Joe Cullen won the Masters, World Cross was above him.
Yeah, he was. and
and
Jose
Rob
De
Cross won the
Souza,
Purdy Hooping Championships,
and Jose De Souza.
people back at the moon about Rob Cross missing out as well. So
I think he should have been in there though. Well, I'm not gonna go as mad as some people have, but I think he should be in there ahead of Joe Cullen. Joe Cullen won a, but then again, you could say they could come back and argue, well, look what happened to Clayton when we gave him a Premier League spot from the Masters. I just don't think Cullen's kicked on as much as Johnny Clayton did from winning the Masters personally.
But you could say with Darryl Jansen shouldn't be in it either with what he done. I know he reached the world semi-finals, but like I said earlier, it's about the whole year.
Yeah,
It's about the whole year, but Darryl Jansen's in it due to getting people's backsides on the seats and watching entertainment on stage. None of this dancing girls on stage. It's all about watching the dartboard, and
hence why I can't stand players like Dirk.
if he was in it, he would be the worst player in the Premier League.
Yeah, he absolutely would. Moving away from the Premier League, then the second Euro Tour of the year was taken place in Hildesheim, I think it's called. Not very good
Germany, wasn't it?
on pronunciation.
I think it's Germany.
But the top half of the draw, we're just going to go through, zim through the quarterfinals and obviously, go through it like that. So the top or the first quarter of the draw saw Rob Cross beat Karel Sedlacek in the quarterfinals. A decent little run there from Karel, who is not even a tour card holder.
Yeah, and another player I used to watch you talk about. That should be getting a tour card, in my opinion, because he is that good not to have a tour card, but you are where you are, and he haven't got a tour card, and but big one for him. That was a nice tournament one for Karel Sedlacek to get himself back on track, get his confidence back as well.
Yeah, a couple of players that really sort of didn't impress. Jose, I know, look, it's a 97 average. It's a 97 average, but even in his game against Kim Huybrechts, that I have to hold my hands up. I actually watched that game and I said, this is going to be a cracker, Jose against Kim, both players who can perform at the top of their level, and I see an 82 and an 86 average game. But obviously we'll avoid Rob Cross because we'll get to that in the last four, the semi-finals. But I'm presuming Karel Sedlacek was the main one from that section for you.
Yeah, because he got through a tough first round as well, and Chris Dorby
annihilated him. To be fair,
well, I did a job on him, pulled Chris Dorby's pants down, and Chris Dorby, he is one of them players that he can be a good, solid player when he wants to be, but at the same time, I don't think he shows it enough. He doesn't show his talent. That's what I'm aiming at enough.
Yeah. So this next section of the draw saw Darryl Gurney beat Johnny Clayton in the quarterfinals, but it's good to see Mensah get into the last 16 of an event. I know Mensah is not everyone's favourite, and rightly so, because he can be quite boring, but it's nice to see Mensah get to a last 16 of a tournament, beating a very capable, destroying another capable player in Callan Rydz.
Yep, very. I was shocked by that with Mensah Surfit, but I had to be proven one, and Mensah Surfit starting to show his best form then when he needs it, when he's on the print or top and out at the top 32. Yeah. So he needed that.
And Darryl Gurney as well. Darryl Gurney reaching a semi-final is also good. Is Darryl Gurney on his way back? I mean, a lot of people have said that Darryl Gurney.
I never thought Darryl Gurney would top out. Trust me. Good player, he is. Honestly, he is a good player, and I don't have anything. He's dangerous for anyone, Darryl Gurney, and he's an ex-Premier League player for a reason. But then people at the comments will say, but Mensah Surfit was But
Yeah, he won two. He won two ranking events, didn't he? He won the Players Championship and the Grand Prix. Yeah, so that's pedigree. It's on his own.
And he made a winner as well.
Oh yeah, that's very true as well. The third section of the draw then saw.
Oh my God, they faced each other. Michael Smith and Dave Chisnell.
101 plays 102. But Dimitri Vandenberg booking his place into the semi-finals of that. But there's a couple of interesting results here, like Dimitri Vandenberg, Ryan Searle. I didn't expect that to go one-sided. Alan Suter, giving Dimitri Vandenberg a very good run for his money, just shows how good Alan Suter is. But it's good for Dimitri starting to get back into the form that he had during that match play.
I think he needed it, and the only matter of time. I mean, when you saw the protected order and where it could potentially drop down to number 14, I think it was from what I last remember. And
I'll have a look now.
Which did shock me, in my opinion, with how good Dimitri Vandenberg, the caliber Vandenberg did as a player.
13.
Yeah. So I think it is. If he did drop down to number 13, it'd be a massive underachievement for him, because I think he's far better than that. And for me, he's a top 8 player. And I still
could even say a Premier League player.
Yeah,
we're not going to get into that.
I feel he should be in the Premier League, but that's my opinion. Because Premier League's entertainment, isn't it? And Vandenberg is someone who entertains the crowd.
Hence why I was surprised he wasn't in there.
Yeah, on the board and his nonsense dancing on stage. But
you love it, really.
Well, it's what you do on the dartboard. I mean, you don't. It's not strictly come dancing where you get extra points for the E table just for your dancing and all that. It's what you do on the dartboard.
Someone who did get points on the dartboard this weekend was Michael Van Gerwen. Yes, the big thing here, he did get a walkover on Peter Wright, but Michael Van Gerwen, not even just on the Premier League, he's doing it now. He's also doing it on the Euro Tour. Obviously, we'll get to the semi-finals in a second, but
good win for we'll talk about Van Gerwen first. I think, and what I'm talking about with an unexpected win. Yeah. Unexpected name, but yeah, Mike Van Gerwen. Finish your point off on Van Gerwen if you.
Oh yeah, I said not just is he doing it from the Premier League now. He's also taking his form onto the Euro Tour. So he's gone Premier League, Euro Tour. He's got a Premier League on Thursday night. He's got 2 Pro Tours at the weekend. I think this could be a massive 2-3 weeks for Van Gerwen, all in preparation for for the latter stages of the year. Which, if you can get into some good form around July, August, September, that area, you can really attack the Grand Slam, the Players Championship finals, the World Championships. So yeah, a great run from Van Gerwen. We will get onto the semi-finals in a minute, but you wanted to bring up a big result.
I'll finish on Van Gerwen. It's like I think Price and White, their withdrawals are very lucky. It's not a PT or the Merit tournament like UK Open 3 weeks earlier, because all of a sudden Van Gerwen's on that form, poured that form in the UK Open and won this tour, and all of a sudden he's bloody back up there.
And then he's got 2 Pro Tours at the end of the week as well.
He had chosen the daft on both of them, so that it's just darts for you, man. And it's like we were saying, yep, Durham Price, Peter White, done me batting for world number 1. Then Van Gerwen pops up all of a sudden, and he's back in it.
He's like, "What? You're taking the world number 1? No thanks."
By the end of the year, obviously not in the next couple of months, but by the end of the year, it's no chance.
Yeah.
But yeah, Martin Newman was the other one. Unexpected win over Damon Hatter.
Great game against Damon Hatter. Fantastic game.
quite unlucky against Van Derwen as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
So I think he can still be proud of himself, Martin Newman. I know people be like, well, he's only reached that 16, but he still have to beat Darren Hetter in the first round.
Australian world number 1 as well now, to be fair.
Yeah, Australian world number 1. For me, still not the best Australian darts player. If you talk about overall, it's still Simon Whitlock for me.
But he's got a higher ceiling, which
he's got the height. But he is the best at the moment, Darren Hetter.
Yeah. Moving on to the semi-finals then. The first semi-final saw Michael van Gerwen reach another final. And he beat Dimitri Vandenberg by 7 legs to 6 in the semi-final. This is just Michael van Gerwen at the moment. 101.26 average. But Dimitri missed double 14 in the deciding leg to win the match. A lot of people have said Dimitri will be happy about this weekend. I'm not too sure he will. I think he's going to be furious about missing that double 14 to beat Van Gerwen.
Margins, I'm afraid. Fine margins. Unfortunately, you have to take out the double, as brutal as it sounds.
Yeah.
And because when you're off against Van Derwen, you get punished, and Van Derwen ends up winning the game. That's what James Wade did best, I think it was, when he did beat Van Derwen. Or I can't remember, or was it Peter White? No, it was Peter White in the Premier League last year.
Yeah.
Where Peter White didn't play that bad, James Wade finishing had to be 100%. Well, it was almost 100% on point. So, and that was a deal with Van Derwen, in my opinion.
Yeah. So Van Gerwen into the, not to spoil it, as we quickly see in the final, but the second semi-final was 2 players that need a big sort of, not year, but need a big couple of months to get back into where they were during parts of their sort of career. Darryl Gurney losing 7-4 to Rob Cross. Good game as well on the average. Rob Cross, just hate to say it because it's bloody cliche with this sport, but just done the right things at the right time.
Yep, spot on. And Rob Cross should be impressed with that win over Darryl Gurney. Because I think Darryl Gurney all of a sudden does under the radar, all of a sudden, forgetting what he's done in the past, being a consistent Premier League player for a couple of years, winning the majors as well. People just seem to forget about him now. And he's still one of them under the radar players who gets written off in any tournament, and he ends up reaching the United States at quarterfinals of the World Championship.
Same as Danny Noppert from the UK Open. Everyone said, don't worry.
And Danny Noppert is a major winner. Is a major winner now.
Yeah, so, very much so.
Maybe that's a good thing with these under the radar players. People.
You said the same. You said to me that Noppert, until he won the UK Open, Noppert reminded you a bit of Johnny Clayton before Clayton.
Because Johnny Clayton was like, before he won the Masters, people were like, yeah, it's Johnny Clayton. He'll get beaten in the first round. It's like, it was the same with Danny Noppert. Every time the World Championship, everyone was like, yeah, there's going to be a shock in the first round. Danny Noppert will get knocked out by a non-seed easy. I mean, it's just one of them. It's just ridiculous saying that. Because Clayton, I think when Clayton first went under the radar, it was when he won the World Cup of Darts with Darren Price. Everyone was like,
great moment for Wales.
So what? It's like so what? Everyone treated him like John Henderson winning the Purdy World Cup of Darts with Peter White.
Yeah, and they I noticed after the World Cup, they basically said, well, you had Gerwin Price alongside you. It was obvious you were going to win it. Same thing, like you said about John Henderson. John Henderson saying that the only reason why John Henderson won it for Scotland was because he had Peter Wright next to him. But I don't agree with that.
Isn't true because I think Clayton and Henderson took out the match-winning doubles in the World Cup of Darts.
Yeah, they both did. Yeah. So actually, no. We're not going to say Henderson and Clayton carried Price and
it was all equal, 50-50.
But moving on to the final, all things have to come to an end for Rob Cross. An 8-5 win
Another
for
dud
Michael
there
Van
was
Gerwen
then.
in the final. 104 average for Mike Van Gerwen, 101 average for Rob Cross. A fantastic game to end a...
Yeah, probably very good final as well to end the tournament. Good to see Rob Cross having a very good tournament as well. I know he lost the final, but it's still a very good time for him. He reached the final, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And it's not like he got beaten quarterfinals. If he got beaten quarterfinals, then I would say a bit disappointing for Rob Cross. But he's reached the final, and hopefully he can kick on from that now, Rob Cross, because he is predicted to, obviously on the projected order merit, to obviously getting back into the top 10. I think he is in top 10 already, though. I think so. I think it's around the top 8 last year for Rob Cross.
Yeah, Rob Cross is currently 10th in the world, but he is projected to end the year as the world number 7.
So that's Rob Cross's level, in my opinion. He is a top 8 player on his day.
Yeah, and he's going to have a lot of sort of fight to get back in that Premier League, isn't he? So this year is going to be a huge year for Rob Cross because in my opinion, Michael Smith said it last year. I was wrongly, not in the Premier League, and the same thing will be said about Rob Cross. He thinks he was wrongly not picked, so he's going to want to, beat everyone in his way this year.
But with respect to Michael Smith, Rob Cross has got. I don't want to draw back onto it, but Rob Cross has got trophies in the cabinet. He won the Hooping Darts Championship, which is, I think, in itself is probably worthy of getting into the Premier League, because that's usually the usual criteria now to get in the Premier League. You have to win a major tournament. You have to win a major tournament all of a sudden.
Which is why I think Danny Noppert could be in it.
But yeah, exactly. And just ask Paul Nicholson, who won the PA Championship finals, didn't get a sniff in it.
Yeah. I was doing a great Paul Nicholson impression the other day, but we're not going to get into that. But there's something I did see over the weekend. We haven't got any, a picture or graphic of it, but there was the women's series that got underway over the weekend. The first women's series sort of section bunch, I guess you could say. Women's series 1 to 4, I think it was. But
yeah, there was 4 events, wasn't there?
Yeah, when a certain person won the women's series on the Sunday, it was automatically stated as Fallon Sherrock wins a women's tour series, despite the fact that another player won 3 out of the other 4.
This is what I'm going to say.
I'm not. We're going to go into the women's series in a minute, and I've only got the results from the quarterfinals, so we will go into that. But in terms of pushing something, they are desperately trying to push this Fallon Sherrock agenda, aren't they?
But it's surprising they didn't ask for the Premier League Darts to be cancelled, to be honest with you. Or put it on a postpone for now. This sort didn't manage to make background noise and try and push her in it, and not one of the players out the Premier League, whichever it is. And that's what it's all about, really. Trying to get her in the Premier League, trying to get her automatic qualification into every tournament, which doesn't work like that, I'm afraid. You have to qualify for it.
Yeah.
We all said it before, where you sit at these players getting a backdoor entrance, like, while others have to go through the hard work, over trying to qualify. Playing a lot of maths as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I totally agree. Moving on to the first sort of day of the women's series, then the title, Lisa Ashton does double on women's
the best woman
series
dance player in the world.
opening day. So looking at her first event then, it was Lisa Ashton that beat Rhiannon Griffiths in the final. So notable mentions for Chloe O'Brien.
Oh dear, you thought that was some.
Yeah, some notable mentions to Chloe O'Brien, 19-year-old, got all the way to the semi-finals, but Fallon Sherritt losing to Lorraine Winstanley.
Stinting performance for who he was. I'm not saying Winstanley is a bad player. It's just we've seen fans on the dartboard. He is better than 10 times better than Winstanley.
Yeah,
but obviously you have to show that in the women's team when you're up against each other. Because Fansurf's back in the WDF now, isn't it? WDF Women's Championship.
Yeah. And her draw is favourable as well, which I think we'll talk about in the next couple of podcast time. Her draw is very favourable.
Well, it's up to her, isn't it? Up to her to go on to win them games.
Yeah.
Because if she doesn't, it's a failure. It's a failure.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. But Lisa Ashton winning the first one 5-2, a great run from Lisa.
Ashton as well.
Yeah,
because Dequath can be a good player on a day.
And I know, obviously, we said Lorraine Winstanley, but she just beat Fallon, and then Lisa, annihilated a 5-1.
It's that curse, isn't it?
Go on.
Where it's that curse with the men, where you beat Van Derwen, and then you get knocked out the next round. And that was the case with Norman Winstanley beaten. Let's be honest, I will be honest about that one. The second best women's dance player in Fansurfing, and then beat off the best women's dance player in the world in Anita Watson.
Moving on to event 2 then. Another final, like we said, for Lisa Ashton, a 5-3 win in this one. Chloe O'Brien again making a quarterfinal, semi-final on event 1, quarterfinal on event 2, played some absolutely fantastic darts across the 2 days, actually. A 19-year-old, it's always nice to see that. But is this game again? We're going to get the repeat of this constantly. Lisa Ashton, Fallon Sherritt, but another win for Lisa Ashton, 2 wins on the trot. And another good performance from the quarterfinals onwards.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say domination because the storylines wouldn't say she dominated. But she got through it. Each Watson, and this is then without the crowd. In my opinion, people say, "Oh, you don't have agenda. You don't have agenda." Rat-a-tat-a-tat. About Fansurf. I haven't got agenda. If she needs to Watson, she doesn't need a crowd on her side. I know she got beat, obviously, at the World Championship with the crowd against one Mullenham, I think it was. In the where they would have done Michael Smith in Mike Smith's first round game. So I think but Lisa Watson for me, best women's dance player in the world at the moment. I think I do want to see more women in there. There's notable women missing out. Matsuru Suzuki and
Bo Greaves.
That's it.
So moving on to event 3 then. The title for this one, Sherrick. I've got to put her first. But no, it's just me being pedantic. Sherrick and Ashton share PDC Women's Series title. So event 3 then, it was the Queen of the Palace that picked up the event 3 sort of winners. She did
Turner.
Beat Joanne. Oh yeah, just noticed that. Beat Joanne Locke in the final. No, Lisa Ashton passed or into at least the quarterfinal. So maybe, look, you can say if, buts, or maybe, but maybe Lisa Ashton not getting to the quarterfinal has helped Fallon pick up a trophy or pick up a title.
Without a doubt, in my opinion. Because if she would have got Lisa Ashton, then with all due respect, that would be obviously that's the decider. It could go anywhere in that game, because like I said, they are by far the top 2 women dance players in the world right now. at the moment.
Well, talking about last leg decider, the event after that, Lisa Ashton did make past the quarterfinals. She went on to win the whole thing again, and it was a last leg decider against Fallon. But you've got to away from Fallon and Lisa, because they're going to be at the World Championship. They're going to be at the Grand Slam. But with the inclusion of the women's match play, the top 8 on the women's series order of merit, getting into the women's match play, I have brought it up, and it is quite interesting that obviously they've dangled that carrot there. If you're in the top 8, you will be in the women's match play. And as it stands,
she is in there. Fun, so
there is some notable names.
None of this CE backdoor entrance.
Yeah, no, this is the women's match play. So the women's match play, top 8 after the 12 events will qualify, and already we're seeing some names that I've not seen too much of, like Chloe O'Brien, like Joanne Locke, that are getting into this. So do you think we're going to see a lot more sort of women turning up to these women's series now, knowing that if they perform there, even if they lose to a Fallon or a Lisa, or maybe a Makuru, getting in these events and getting to sort of like a last 16, a quarterfinal, could see you at the women's match play in the Winter Gardens?
Yeah, exactly. Just look at Chloe O'Brien, the 19-year-old. I think it's good to see them stories, in my opinion. I mean, just look at team volley for the men's, honestly.
Yeah, special player.
Yep, special player. We hope we can get that in terms of the women's series as well, where not just the same old Lisa Watson fans, so that what's lyrical about. You want to see someone unexpected, someone come through. A bit like Chloe O'Brien, to be fair.
Yeah. And there was record numbers for the women's series over the weekend. It's still
good to see unexpected names who you haven't heard of as well.
Yeah, there was record numbers of people that, or women or girls that turned up to the event over the weekend, which is a great thing to see. And I think there was a lot younger average age of the women's series. I think last year they said the average age was like 26, 27, and this year it was like 24. So, I know it's only a couple of years, but that definitely means a lot more. People are turning up to these events, and not just turning up, they believe they can go far. Like I said, Chloe O'Brien reached a quarterfinal, semi-final on event on day 1, and I think she got to like a last 16 on day 2 as well. So it shows that anything is possible.
So even if you just give it a door, isn't it? And all of a sudden you can be like Chloe O'Brien, in the top 8 of the women's series order merit. Yeah,
and that obviously does give you a match play place, like I said. But that is pretty much it from the world of darts. We've talked about the Premier League, the Euro Tour, the Women's Series, and a little shout out to why Sky is a terrible. No, we're not going to carry on that. But like I said, thanks for joining me for yet another podcast. We have both got to watch our team now. You're going to the game because you live about 5 minutes away from it, but due to the fact that I've got COVID and I live about 5-6 hours away, I don't think I'll make it for 8:15 kickoff. But thanks for joining. And where can people find you?
Yeah, find me at Twitchwells on YouTube. On YouTube, where I do Liverpool, Carlo, England, F1, darts, and bots and content.
Yeah, do give Chris a subscribe over on his channel. Is Chris Welch. He's going to the Carlisle game today. I'm going to be watching the Carlisle game today. Like I said, thanks to everyone that has jumped in, said hello, and commented and stuff like that. I will be doing a Newport versus Carlisle watch along. I'm going to put that in the chat down below. So please make sure to go over there, drop it a like, and tune in.
I shall be rewatching it.
No, you will not. You will not be. Of course you will. But anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks to Chris as well. Episode 9, we've done loads of episodes of this already. Hopefully next week I'm feeling a little bit better. But thanks to everyone for tuning in. See you at 7:30 for the Newport Watch Along. Take care, and Newport to win.